Had a bit of a brainwave in the last video that I did. You guys might remember that we spoke a little bit about Max Verstappen, the incident that happened on Sunday, and I did a question which got a bit of attention on the YouTube shorts of why it always involved a Mercedes, and maybe it had something to do with the cars that Max Verstappen loves. And then it got me thinking, what about all the drivers' personal cars? Actually, let's fact check the personal cars, and let's see if Max Verstappen really is a BMW lover and really is an Audi lover or whatever, or a bicycle lover. We'll see, and try and work it out. But let's not just focus on Max Verstappen. Let's focus on all the drivers. So that's what we're actually going to do. We're actually going to do that. We're going to do a deep dive into each of the drivers' personal collections. And better than that, we're going to rank it in an old school tier list. It's almost like we've got the Cool War. Now, here's the thing. There's three rules that we need to apply here. The first one, you might have noticed that we've got a few people in NA. So we're not including the rookies in this. I feel like it's a bit unfair to include the rookies in this, mainly because some of them are only just old enough to drive. Some of them, because they're new in the sport, they might not have had the opportunities to spend the money on the cars. For a lot of these guys, they probably haven't even had an F1 pre-season to fully relax. So maybe at some point we'll revisit and see if any of the current rookies build up a decent car collection for it. The second rule that we're going to put in place is these decisions that we make on the tier list might seem harsh. They might, genuinely. And that's kind of there's a reason for that. We're talking about 14 drivers who have a lot of money and who love cars. Or you'd hope so anyway. So as a result, they are going to be top tier. You're going to be astounded by some of these. In fact, probably you'll put all of these in top tier categories for that. But yeah, we've got to be a bit harsher on this and judge it a little bit more. And we have one last rule. One last rule, and it's an important one. We are not allowing cars that almost like company cars, if that makes sense. So if the driver, let's say, was driving for Ferrari and they had any Ferraris in the collection, they'd be discounted from that because it's almost they feel like they're gifts, they're company cars that bestowed upon them. We're judging this purely based on what the driver enjoys, goes, I like that car. And there's no affiliation with the team they're driving for, and that's the reason why they're doing so. Does that make sense? The other thing as well is you're starting to see the tier lists. You see that I've done Meh Top Drivers Car, Gorgeous Classic. I have I have very much a preference when it comes to classical cars. A driver that chooses classical cars, they see something special. A driver that sees, has gorgeous cars or top drivers' cars, it's the thrill of the drive. But for me, a driver that has classic cars appreciates cars as well. Really, really appreciates cars. So let's look into it. Let's start looking into it. And we're going to look at it in team order. So the first one we are going to start off with is Pierre Gasly. So let's have a look at Pierre Gasly's personal collection. They don't look too bad, do they? What we have here is a Nissan GTR, an Aston Martin Valkyrie, and a Ferrari 488 GTB. Now, straight away, this is not going to be a mech category. We got some really nice cars here, really top draw cars. The one I want to focus on, though, and this is going to be the judgment of this tier list for Pierre Gasly, is the Aston Martin Valkyrie. It's a stunning car. An absolutely stunning car. I don't think enough can be said about the Aston Martin Valkyrie. So as a result, we are sticking Pierre Gasly straight into the gorgeous tier list. Going straight into gorgeous tier list. Here's next along the lines. We got ourselves Fernando Alonso. Let's take a look at Fernando Alonso's personal collection. Well, here we are. Now, I very much appreciate Fernando Alonso's collection. Like, I felt like almost maybe Fernando Alonso deserved a tier all to himself. These three cars in question are the McLaren P1, the Porsche 918 Spider, and the Ferrari LaFerrari. Now, there's something very special about these three cars. An interesting connection for these three cars. Do you remember the when Top Gear, let go of Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May, and then they moved over to Amazon? These were the cars they were looking at, challenging each other. The McLaren P1 was Jeremy Clarkson's champion, the Porsche 918 Spider was Richard Hammond's champion, and the Ferrari LaFerrari was James May's champion. Fernando Alonso is clearly a guy who appreciates car culture. In fact, I'm pretty sure when he bought these, he knew what he knew what he was doing. So, for that reason, he had to be in a top tier list. Now, they're not classic cars. Annoyingly, they're not classic cars. So again, Fernando Alonso moves into the gorgeous category. And his cars do too. Right. Lance Stroll. What do we have here? We have two cars for Lance Stroll to focus on here. We have the Lamborghini Huracan. We have the Ferrari California. Now, if we were talking about your standard guy, these are good cars. But I don't know. They don't feel that special. And considering the fact that this guy is basically the richest guy on the grid, I would have expected a bit more. I was half expecting Lance Stroll to be one of the top tiers of this in terms of personal car collections, but I don't know. The Huracan, don't get me wrong, nice hypercar, looks good, bonkers. The Ferrari California, good, really nice convertible, but for an F1 driver, hate to say it, Lance Stroll is meh. So how about Charles Leclerc? How about Charlie Boy? Charles Leclerc must have like the best ever cars. I mean, a guy that looks that good has to have a great car collection. Well, he does, but this is where one of my rules really comes to bites. Because Charles Leclerc only has one car that isn't a Ferrari. And that car is a Porsche 911. Porsche 911. Again, for a standard guy, you and me, this would be a top driver's car. Fantastic. Brilliant. Respect to Charles Leclerc. The Ferraris have pegged it down. And if I'm being this harsh on Lance Stroll, I've got to be this harsh on Charlie Boy. How about Lewis? How about Lewis Hamilton? Is he also bitten by this? Has he got loads of McLarens or Mercedes or Ferraris? Well, he does have a handful. But well, let's just see. The two cars that stood out for me a Shelby Cobra, GT500, and a Ford Mustang. Now I'm going to say this: I love the Shelby GT500. It's one of my Shelby Cobra is one of my favorite cars in the world. My dream car to drive, even for a mile, would be a Shelby Cobra GT500. But that Mustang just fits. Either way, this is a guy who clearly appreciates his cars, and this one, slam dunk, no question about it. First guy into the classic tier list. So, looking good so far. No one in the top drivers car category yet. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. So, ST Bestie. He has two cars that stand out. One being a Corvette ZR1. Very nice. The other being a Ferrari 265 GTB. Now, here's the thing. If it was just based on the Corvette ZR1, we'd be looking into the lower two tiers. But that Ferrari, I could barely see any lines on that Ferrari, by the way. That is a stunner. If that car drove past me, I'd be going, that must be a kit car, must be a toy. There is no way, there is absolutely no way that Ferrari would make a car that sleek and that sexy. Sounds a bit strange, that, but Ferrari do have a habit of not really making gorgeous cars. You see where we're going here. ST Bestie, his cars are in the gorgeous category. So, next up on the list is Oscar Piastri. Well, Oscar Piastri has also been done dirty by the rule I've been put in place. Because all of his cars are McLarens. So, Oscar Piastri, and understandable because he's only been in the sport a couple of years, but he moves into the NA category. Is it the same for Lando Norris? Not really. Let's focus on the two main ones that stand out here, which is the Lamborghini Miura, the Ferrari 40. Any driver that has that, you are, you know your stuff. But I want to focus on the other car, the Fiat 500 Jolly. That is cute, isn't it? Let's be honest, that is cute. I don't know why. I feel like that's the car I'd just love to have. I mean, dangerous. It doesn't have any doors. It has a rope. Doesn't really have a roof. It has a tent, and doesn't have seatbelts. It has bloody wicker basket seats. He drives this around Monaco, apparently. There is no doubt about it. Just that car alone has moved Lando Norris straight into the classic category. There is no doubt about it. He has to be the classic category. So how about George Russell? Well, again, George Russell has also been screwed over. He only drives Mercedes. It's a shame. But I feel like, again, similar to Oscar Piastri, there'll be an expanded car collection. These guys in the NA category, I'm sure in the next few years, we'll start to see some nice car collections for them. So now the big one, Max Verstappen. Is Max Verstappen a BMW lover? Is he a what was the other one? Audi lover. Does he hate Mercedes? Well, he did own one of those three. He actually owned a Mercedes at one point. He sold it quite soon after, but he did once own a Mercedes. So, hats off there. But the three cars that I've picked out from his personal collection. Oh, this could be good. We got the Porsche 911 GT3, yes. We've got on the bottom left is the Ferrari Pista. But I want to talk about the one at the top, the Ferrari Monza. Now, firstly, I love a car that literally has no roof. It gives over Batmobile vibes straight away. It is incredibly rare as well, 1.8 million. It's stunning. Absolutely stunning. And as a result, yes, Max Verstappen quite easily goes into the gorgeous category. How about Yuki Tsunoda? Well, as the resident spokesperson for Honda, he's fallen foul to the rule. I know Honda is technically with Aston Martin, but it is Red Bull Honda that was there. So yeah, we've unfortunately we've got to discluding from that. So Nico Hulkenberg. What does Nico Hulkenberg drive? What do you reckon to these? Got a Porsche 911. We got a Mercedes SLS Gullwing and a Ferrari 488 GTB. Similar sort of boat to Lance Stroll and Charles Leclerc. And I think we're going to start to get into a situation where, and by the way, if you disagree with me, put comments below. We'll start to see almost a merge between Top Driver's car and Meh. Because, again, you could judge it in that. But I'm judging it based on the Top Driver's car sort of thing here. We got some good cars here for a driver, right? So I'm going to stick this one controversially in Top Driver's car. Like I said, I think looking into this, Lance Stroll, Nico Hulkenberg, Charles Leclerc, any others that might join the list, you could swap and change between Top Driver's car and Meh. But yeah, I'm putting Nico Hulkenberg in Top Driver's car. Alex Albon. We got Alex Albon next. So, what does he drive? He drives a Mini John Cooper Works, an old school Mini, and Honda Civic Type R. This one's tricky. Because, yes, he owns a classic Mini. But he also owns modern Minis. I'm not sure about this one. You could technically throw him in 3 of the categories. He's got a classic car, he's got a cheaper classic car, let's say. He's got one that might be considered a Top Driver's car. But I feel like, again, controversial as this may be, this collection is the most meh of the bunch. This is the worst of the lot. I'm sorry, Alex. You might be the weakest link. So, who's next? Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz. He's owned Ferraris, he's owned everything like that. But the 2 main ones are Bentley Continental GT, Volkswagen Golf GTI. I've put this one, for now, as a Top Driver's car. So we have the tier list out there now. Now, firstly, like I say, feel free to put in your comments how you feel about these tier lists. I would love to know your thoughts on this. But here is where we're going to finish up. I'd love to know your thoughts based on this. We have 2 in the classic category. 2 in the classic category. So, who would you pick? Lewis Hamilton with his Shelby GT500, the Ford Mustang, classic Ford Mustang as well. Or Lando Norris with the Ferrari F40, the Lamborghini Miura, and the Fiat 500 Jolly. Lewis or Lando? Lewis or Lando? Guys, thank you very much for your time. Very much appreciate the views, the appreciation. If you can like and subscribe to the video, that'd be hugely appreciated. But until next time, which will probably be next week, take care of yourselves and see you around.